Okay, what's up? We're reacting to another video, the most controversial reality show ever created. If you came here from the last video about the most controversial cartoons and everything that got banned and everything, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you're not, this is gonna be a good video, I think. Hopefully, it's not too crazy though. It's by Visual Venture, so let's get into it.
Just when you thought reality TV couldn't
It's
push
already
the
crazy
envelope
for
any further,
adults.
get a load of this new show called Kid Nation.
Just 40
I
kids with a
really
chance to
hope
build their own society.
The work is
it was back in
This
the
is the
day.
first
There were
time that
like
he's
no
ever been away from
regulations. This is
home
gonna be bad.
his entire life.
They're not willing to intervene because money trumps responsibility when it comes to television.
Kid Nation. Kid Nation. Kid Nation. Kid Nation. Kid Nation. Kid Nation rules.
So what
They have to
happens
abide
when
by
you send
certain laws,
40
though, at
kids
this
into the
point.
desert by themselves with no adults
Child
and
labor
leave them
laws.
on their own? In 2007,
Hopefully.
someone turned that into a reality show. This is the insane story of Kid Nation, the most controversial TV show ever. So my goal this year is to give you guys double the amount of videos without sacrificing quality. And to do that, we got to keep growing. So 68% of you guys aren't subscribed, and it would mean the world to me if you
Nah, you
did.
already
And I
know I'm
promise to give you
subscribed.
more fire content on Visual Venture, and you are awesome.
Hey, I appreciate you.
extreme
You're awesome
idea.
too, man.
Kid Nation started because one man saw a problem. A TV producer was worried that the reality genre was growing stale. To him, reality shows were supposed to be messy and unpredictable. But around 2007, most shows were safe and boring. So he asked his team, what's the craziest show we could possibly make? Something that would shock and entertain at the same time. Their first big idea was to make it about kids, not just teenagers, actual kids ages 8 to 15. But what would those kids do? They found their answer in a disturbing book from the 1950s.
You
In
cannot base your
1954,
thing
someone
off
wrote a
of Lord of
book
the
about
Flies,
kids
bro. Come
trying to
on.
survive
What?
without adults. It was called Lord of the Flies. In the story, a group of boys got stranded on an island, so they decided to create their own society, and it did not
This is kinda
end
like
well.
the
They turned on
100.
each other, they fought, and their new society descended into chaos. The story was unsettling. One review even
But
said
the
Lord
100
of the
is with
Flies
an
is
older
one of the
cast,
most
obviously.
disturbing books I've ever
Yeah,
read.
why
But
would
when
you ever-
TV producers read the book, they had a different reaction. They thought the
Huh?
chaos would make great entertainment. The producers finally had their big idea. Take 40 kids, drop
This
them in
does
an empty
not
town,
sound
and
good.
let them run it by themselves. For 40 days, the kids would live by their own rules.
Hopefully
No
they had a
adults
lot
would
of, like-
interfere, just cameras and chaos. However,
cap,
the
though. They
producers
couldn't- they
would
can't
add
legally do
competitions
that.
and prizes just to create
Right?
rivalry. Looking
I
back,
would
it's
hope
obvious
they
how
can't legally
extreme
do that.
this idea was.
Like it
How
had
do
to
you
be
pitch
capped.
that? I know you've got safety at the forefront
Like
of your
they
mind.
have to have like
Inevitably, though, the kids will begin to one
chaperones who
another
like bring
to
in
form
food
a
and all
dominance
that.
hierarchy.
Nothing like this had ever been done before, but somehow CBS approved the show. They picked the kids, found the town, got the cameras, everything was ready. But there was
Nah,
one
they
last
had to
step. The
have,
kids'
like,
parents had to sign a
crew, like, feeding
22-page
everyone,
contract.
yeah.
It basically said that no matter what happened on the show, parents couldn't sue. Not even if the
Oh,
contestants
heck
were
no.
exposed to uncontrollable
Oh
hazards.
heck
or
no!
worse.
There's no
Each
way.
child would be paid
Yo, these
$5,000
old
for their
contracts are
involvement.
crazy.
The contract was unsettling, but they
For
signed
5K?
anyway.
Bro, you
After
could've
all, it was
lost your
just a
kid.
TV show. What's the worst
What?
that could happen? But the public didn't
No.
love the concept. One reporter wrote, the show attempts to turn kids' unsupervised escapades and misadventures into entertainment. Even now, people on
I already
YouTube
know
call
kids
Kid
are wild.
Nation the worst TV show idea and the nearly
Yeah, what the
fatal
heck?
reality show for children. But let's get back to the story. The kids were loaded onto a bus and driven deep into the New Mexico desert.
City kids, country kids, rich,
My only
poor,
concern
and
is like
everything in
that they
between.
actually
Felt
looked
like an
after the
adventure,
kids'
but
well-being
things that were
the
about to
whole
go
entirety
wrong
way through
really
the
fast.
show, right?
A whole new world.
That gave them everything they needed, including like
Viewers
mental
weren't
support
so
and things
sure
like
it was a
that
good idea,
during
but
and
they couldn't
afterwards.
look away.
I cannot believe
That's
we're
my
watching
whole
this
thing.
show.
Like the
It's
whole
just Survivor,
entertainment
but with
is like
children.
one thing.
The kids
'Cause there's
stepped off
been-
the bus
there's
into the
been
desert.
shows
They
that,
were
like,
met by one of
feature kids and stuff like on Nickelodeon and all that. Like those little. My sister was on one of them actually. It was like what's it called? Legends of the Hidden Temple. But yeah, no, like that's my primary concern, that they were fully taken care of in like the maximum capacity, like entertainment aside.
adult, Jonathan, the host. But he wasn't there to take care of them. He was there to explain the rules, then leave. Jonathan made two big announcements. First, he picked 4 kids to be in charge. They were now the town council.
Members of the town council were the leaders of the society. They determined the rules and made decisions based on what the children did or did not want.
Then he gave them basic supplies to last 40 days. But there was a catch. They had to haul everything to the town where they would be living. This was barely 30 minutes into the show, and they were already doing heavy labor.
On the one hand, it's pretty
discouraging. Child labor laws.
Trouble with the wagon. Heavy. But on the other hand, it's almost encouraging because, you know, it can't get any worse.
The trek was long. The supplies were heavy, but they made it. Their new home was called Bonanza City, an empty, dusty town in the middle of nowhere.
Back in the 1880s, this was a thriving mining town. But then lack of leadership, lack of resources, and lack of will combined to leave it completely and totally.
Life here wasn't going to be easy. One of the first things viewers noticed was the bathroom situation.
Wow. They had one toilet for 40 people.
And the funny thing was, there was a line of like 20 kids waiting to use the outhouse.
But that was just the tip of the iceberg. There was no running water. Their homes were old wooden cabins. For food, they got canned goods and dried beans. That meant they had to learn to prepare their own meals.
Here we have corn and tomatoes, good for stews, but not much else.
The parents probably, actually, given the time period that this was made in, the parents probably loved that, because that was back when
they also had some farm animals and a town store. At night, they slept on paper-thin, dirty mattress pads. This was only the first episode. As soon as viewers saw the living conditions, they started blaming the parents.
Because I think the parents are liable here. Because I don't think like an 8-year-old is just like, Mommy, can you send me out into a desert with Jonathan Karsh?
The conditions were already tough, but things were about to get tougher. The next day, the kids were split into 4 teams
before the rise of gentle
red,
parenting.
Blue, green, and yellow. The main reason for this was so the producers could organize competitions. Here's how it worked. Every few days, districts went head-to-head in showdowns. Their performance decided their social class.
Squad.
The team that came in first became the upper class.
Upper
they
class?
Did chores. Second place became the merchants. They worked in the town store. Third place became the cooks. They had to cook and wash dishes for everyone. Last place became the laborers. They did the hardest jobs like cleaning, picking up trash, and hauling water. The kids didn't invent this system. The producers did, and it worked. Everyone wanted to be in the upper class. No one wanted to be a laborer.
Yeah,
so they
I
were
knew
motivated
this was like,
to
this
win
is that
at
capitalism
all costs.
type.
But something about this system felt harsh, and viewers noticed
it is,
right
because
away.
like the younger kids will be doing the hardest work,
the
right?
weakest and worst group in these challenges do all the physical labor and the most amount of tasks.
That's
to
what I'm
some,
saying.
it felt like the producers were trying to make things even more difficult. On day 3, the kids had their first showdown. They had to race to pump water.
That was my main
Finish, the
concern.
higher the class. The red team won, becoming upper class.
Like
the
all
blue
the
team
older
came
kids.
in second.
This
The
is a
yellow
boom-
team was third, and green finished last.
boomer
So they became
paradise show.
laborers. But there was
That's
one more
kinda
twist.
like how America
if all
is
the
right
teams
now, low-key.
completed the showdown within an hour, the entire town would
The
win
older,
a
more
reward. The
capable
reward
ones
came
at the
with a
time who had
tough
more
choice.
resources.
The kids had to choose between something
Just try
they
to eat
needed or
everything
something fun.
and leave
After the
people
first
broke.
challenge, the choice was between extra outhouses or a TV. They picked the outhouses. Why?
Yeah.
Because the television would be a distraction for all the work that needs to be done to build Bonanza City. There was one last thing the kids needed to do, and it was the most important step in
Bonanza
building a
City.
new society.
Every 3 days, the pioneers come together for an old-fashioned town hall meeting.
Who is unhappy with the job that the council is doing?
The town hall meeting was where
Was this
kids
ever
could
banned?
discuss issues facing the town. They could complain, argue, or even stand up and give a speech. It was part debate, part group therapy. The meeting was always run by the town council, the 4 leaders of each district.
They're not the oldest.
Hey, listen up! Be quiet! All the council leaders have a really important announcement to make.
The town hall wasn't just about talking. It was a place where a kid could quit the show.
Nobody is voted off, Kid Nation. You only leave if you want to.
At the very first meeting, that's exactly what happened. 8-year-old Jimmy, the youngest kid on the show, stood up and left. Jimmy didn't quit because of the chores or the food. He left because he missed his family. But for those who stayed, there was a reward waiting, a big one. Each week, the town council gave out a gold star. It was supposed to go to someone who really helped the town, someone who worked hard, fixed problems, and gave moral support. And the gold star came with a cash prize.
It's a £2 star that's literally worth its weight in gold. $20,000.
The winner got $20,000, and even more important, they got to call home.
Yes, this is Alex. You'll not believe what I have to tell you.
After days in the desert, that phone call meant everything.
I just won a gold star, and it's worth $20,000.
Everyone wanted to win a gold star, so they worked harder. They were more helpful. They stayed
I know there
strong.
were some parents
not
that were like,
cared
you can't
about
come
the money.
home.
Some just
You
wanted
better
to
stay in
make
there
it
and
to
get
the
that
end,
bread.
to make their parents proud.
I know it.
But the real problems were just starting. The chicken episode.
Chicken episode.
With each passing day, life in Bonanza City got harder. Their biggest problem wasn't chores or sleep, it was food. Most of the time, the kids ate beans and rice because that's all they had, and they had to cook every meal
would be so proud.
Well, when we first started planning for dinner, I realized that a lot of us haven't done anything like this before.
Yeah. They have no vegetables or
kids
anything?
were struggling.
No, they had
One day,
peas,
the
right?
town leaders called a meeting. They had a big announcement.
balanced
Everyone
food
was
groups,
sick
though.
of eating the same thing every day, but there was a way to get something better: chicken. The kids were excited. They couldn't
they have
wait
to
to bite
slaughter
into some
chicken?
chicken. Then they saw the problem. The chickens were still alive. If they wanted to eat the chicken, they had to do what needed to be done. Viewers knew the show was pushing the limits, but this was insane.
A group of 8-year-olds have to crowd around a
That's
chicken
like-
somehow, but clean it and then cook it and not.
They don't know how to
longer
do
process.
that though.
It turned into a huge debate. Some kids
don't know
treated
how
the
to do
chickens
that.
like pets, so they didn't want to hurt them. Others didn't care. They wanted to eat. A few
unless
kids
they grew
even
up on a
locked
farm.
themselves in the
They
chicken
probably
coop
don't know how to
protect
do
the
that.
chickens. And one girl threatened to quit the show if they ate the chickens. But in the end, the majority voted to go through with it. They were going
they
to
have
eat
eggs,
the chickens.
right?
Then came the next problem. Who was actually going to do it? That's when Greg stepped forward. Greg was 14, and he had worked as a butcher's
you wanted
assistant
to.
before.
Oh, so he
Greg
knows.
grabbed a hatchet and did what needed to be done. It was unsettling. If anyone still thought this was a game show, this moment proved it was real, at least to the kids. The chicken debate was a major argument, but it wasn't the last, because the kids started turning on each other.
Of course.
Heroes and villains. The kids in Bonanza City didn't really get along. For one thing, they came from different places. Each kid was different. Plus, they were tired and cranky, so it was no surprise when they started fighting.
Yeah.
I find that really funny that you say you were nice to everybody on day one. You treat me like I'm not gonna treat you good.
But the adults didn't try to calm things down. The cameras just recorded everything. They thought the drama and struggle made great TV. This became the most controversial part of the show. Some viewers thought it was cruel to record young people in these difficult situations.
Was this not awkward to film? You're just silently filming him cry? What are you, monsters?
The class system made everything worse. The laborers had to do the hardest work. They felt like they were just servants.
I'm a laborer now. This morning I got up at 6. I scrubbed toilets, I did laundry, and I hauled a big barrel of water.
Meanwhile, the upper class didn't have to do any chores. They just sat around while others worked. The arguments kept getting worse and worse.
Right now, the only people I respect are you on the Green District. If you all have my back, then I have your back. That's all that matters in this entire town.
I'm going to be an individual thinker, thinking individually, thinking my own thoughts. I'll work with you guys, but I'm not going against what my own principles and values are.
Soon, one kid became the center of the drama. Her name was Taylor. Taylor
She
was
looks
only
like it.
10, but she was one of the most disliked people in Bonanza City. She was loud,
Did she
she
get that from
refused
her
to do
mom?
her chores, and she didn't care if others were mad about
She's
it.
just
When
a
people
bad kid.
complained, she always gave the same answer: deal with it.
If anybody has a problem with it, you're sorry, but you're gonna have to deal with it.
Taylor quickly became the villain of the show. At least that's how it looked. But she wasn't the only one causing trouble. Even the town council created problems. The town council was supposed to lead the town, but some of their decisions only caused more fighting, like when they tried to combine everyone's beliefs into one religious service.
And what we were thinking was to have just one religious service for everyone. And we would like choose a couple people from different religions to come and speak.
Not everyone liked that idea. Some kids didn't want to share their religion. Others didn't want a service at all. The argument split the town even more. And some viewers thought this showed how messed up the show really was.
But this could be a great learning experience if there was a mature person to actually teach them about these types of situations.
Even after the debate, the chaos continued.
I don't see any food. No food. It looks like all our laundry and all our water is frozen in. I think the town definitely really needs some law and order because the people are just doing whatever they want, whenever they want.
And when things got too hard, kids started quitting. Jimmy, the youngest kid, already left during the first town hall. Later, 2 more kids followed him.
Like,
so 3 kids left Bonanza City before the show ended. Each time someone quit, the town grew smaller but stronger. The ones who stayed felt like survivors. Then someone raised a red flag. A few weeks into filming, New Mexico officials got an anonymous complaint about the conditions at Kid Nation. Inspectors tried to visit the set, but they were turned away several times. Eventually, the producers convinced the authorities to back off, so the show continued. The kids stayed in Bonanza City trying to build a town, but even as things fell apart, one thing never stopped: the showdowns. Every week there was a new showdown, but some viewers didn't like these challenges at all.
In episode 8, the showdown that they do is just an immature and idiotic idea from the...
One of the worst challenges involved gum. The kids had to chew as much as they could in 1 hour. Then they used the chewed gum to color in a giant picture.
Not only is it extremely unsanitary and unhealthy for everyone involved, but there are multiple kids here with braces.
But not all challenges were this gross. One showdown was all about history. Teams were given pictures of US presidents. Then they had to line them up in the correct order. Other showdowns tested their strength. Kids had to crawl, climb, or carry something. And everyone wanted to win, because winning meant you were in the upper class. And losing meant you had to pick up trash and do the worst jobs. However, a new type of contest also happened on the show.
I feel like with the age ranges in the show, like these competitions, they're not exactly like equal weight competitions, right? Because like you take like a 7-year-old, or I mean like an 8-year-old, right? And you compare their strength with like a 15-year-old, those strengths are drastically different. Like when I was 15, I was literally, okay, I'll give an example. Like when I was 8, right? I was like very small. I think I was like a little bit overweight too. But like I was playing basketball and all that. I was like really short. When I was 15 though, I was literally marching in marching band. I was playing the quad drums, which was like at that time like a third of my body weight. I was literally able to like march with it on and like do everything, which is crazy difference in strength. So like the fact that these challenges are like this is a little wild.
And it turned Bonanza City upside down.
Not a little, a lot of wild.
Democracy or disaster. Remember, Bonanza City was run by the town council. There were 4 kids, 1 from each district. But there was a problem. The council was getting power hungry.
Technically, we make the decisions whether they like it or not. They're just gonna have to deal with that.
These council members weren't chosen by the kids. The producers picked them, but that was about to change. Most kids were sick of their leaders, so the host stepped in with a huge announcement. There would be real elections.
If anyone wants to run against them, raise your hand.
This was the kids' first taste of democracy. They had to campaign, they had to compete, they had to convince their friends to vote for them. The toughest battle took place in the Yellow District because they didn't really like their leader, Taylor. Taylor was the same girl who told people to deal with it when they complained. Running against her was Zach. Zach was likable and hardworking. He was everything the kids wanted. The election got messy fast.
Yellow District, will it be Zach or Taylor?
It's gotta be Zach, right?
Here we go.
Nobody wants a mean girl president.
Campaigns were loud. There were screaming matches. Then finally, it was election day. The kids lined up. One by one, they cast their votes. The leader of the blue and green districts kept their seats. The red district voted for a new leader. But all eyes were on the yellow district. Taylor versus Zach, the one everyone was waiting for. The votes were counted. Zach won and Taylor was out. Zach jumped up and yelled, "Viva Revolution!" Taylor tried to stay calm,
she was
but
already
she wasn't
on the
happy.
council.
It's gonna be real hard for me
that's
to get
probably
used to sitting
why.
on the lawyer benches compared to the council sitting up on the high podium.
The kids were learning how
She's
to
from
vote,
Georgia.
how to lead, and how to build something.
Taylor.
But the show was coming to an end. The show lasted 6 weeks. On the final day, the parents arrived in
kinda
Bonanza
tell by
City.
her
The
southern
kids
twang.
ran
No,
to
not
meet
gonna
them.
lie, I
It
could
was
kinda
emotional.
tell.
Some kids
It
gave their
sounded too
parents
familiar.
tours of the town. They showed off their cabins and even the chickens they prepared.
This chicken feet from the chickens we chopped up.
Is it the parents?
Then it was time for the final town meeting.
They're not having
Jonathan,
it.
the host, gave it the last announcement.
Head outside, grab your bags, and say goodbye to each other for the last time ever. We will miss you and keep building a better world.
The experiment was over. And that's when the backlash began.
Mm-hmm.
Millions of angry viewers.
Yep.
Kid Nation aired in September 2007. CBS thought they had a hit. The ads made it look really exciting.
That was
But once
right
it hit
before the
TV
crash,
screens,
too.
everything fell apart. Viewers weren't impressed. They were horrified. For starters,
Mm-hmm.
many parents hated the concept of the show.
Being a young single mother like myself, I wouldn't feel
Mm-hmm.
safe sending my 8-year-old child away alone by themselves.
One review said, "This has to be the work of an escaped mental asylum patient, right? Who funded this?" Child psychologists also slammed the show.
Is this exploiting minors for the sake of
They should have
entertaining
been
the
working on
American
the show. They
public?
should have hired
My
him.
guest, child psychologist Dr. Susan Bartell.
But this
Then
was before
major news outlets ripped
a lot
the
of
show
regulations
apart. One
first came
reporter
out.
said Kid Nation
Was it?
used contestants as fodder
As
for
fodder.
fun and profit. One headline
Yeah.
read, "Kid Nation, reality TV gone too far?" But people weren't just shocked. They were asking if the show was legal.
They're not
Yeah,
willing
that's
to
what I'm
intervene
saying.
because money trumps responsibility when it comes to television.
Child safety advocates accused the show of violating child labor laws. Their biggest
That's what I'm
concern
saying,
was
like-
how much work the contestants did. The network scrambled to defend Kid Nation. They claimed the set was more like a summer camp rather than a place of employment. They also said medics and psychologists were nearby the whole time. So according
they,
to
though?
them, the kids were always safe. But critics
Okay,
weren't
were they,
convinced.
though?
Another issue was the emails.
Were they
After
really?
the
Can you
show
prove
aired,
that?
families of the kids received emails from viewers. Some of these messages were quite harsh. Then the kids themselves started speaking up. Some said the
Ooh.
producers fed them lines to create more drama. Kid Nation became a full-blown scandal. Of course, not everyone hated it.
Ship my kid off for $5,000. Why not?
But that support wasn't enough to save the show. At first, Kid Nation got strong ratings. 9 million people tuned in for the first episode. Then
Yeah,
it
it
dropped
was a
to
bad
7
time to be a
million in
parent.
episode 2. By the final episode, fewer than 7 million people were still watching. The backlash was so intense that CBS never made a second season. The network
Yeah,
hoped
of course
people
they
would
didn't.
forget the show and move on, but they didn't. Years later, former contestants started speaking out. They shared their stories on podcasts and interviews. Some said the show
I wanna
helped them
hear
grow.
this.
Others said it wasn't a positive memory. Today, Kid Nation is considered one of the most controversial reality shows ever
Yeah,
made.
that is
It's used as an
controversial.
example of how far producers will go for ratings. And if this is what we call reality TV, maybe we need a reality check. Visual Venture.
That was a clever line.
Wait, before you go, make sure you guys click here to watch more dark internet documentaries.
I might after this, but hey, what do y'all think about that? That was a crazy show. That's crazy. And especially with it being so early, that makes sense actually that it was so early, because like nowadays, I don't know if they would have been able to get away with something like that. That, granted, they would have like way more regulations and things like that in place, I would hope, but honestly, it would probably be a safer thing nowadays than it would have been back then. But still, I think that was crazy. But yeah, if you liked it, let me know. And leave a like, comment, subscribe. And of course, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.